神を目指すのさ Brave New World 情熱のキス
Most Magical Knights animes are very similar. This one, however, takes a slightly different step by adding a romance plot that goes somewhere, an interesting character with a harsh past, and some of the best action scenes of 2015. Hello everyone, I'm Joe and Newin. Welcome to an edition of Newin Anime Review. This episode, Rakudai Kishi no Cavalry, also known as Chivalry of a Failed Knight. Chivalry of a Failed Knight storyline and setup is rather generic. There is a magical knight tournament for high schools known as the 7-Star Battle Festival. Those who fight in these battles are known as blazers, people who materialize weapons to fight in battle. Now the main character Iki makes a promise with the princess that he and her together will make through the selection matches and have one final battle in the last round. Pretty standard story so far. Even though the overall story is pretty standard, it's the sub-stories in between makes this an interesting show. Iki dubbed the worst one, all because his magic power isn't all that great. So a lot of people look down on him, and so he has to work his way to the top through his own ability rather than relying on a magical power like everyone else does. It's a really character driven story as we learn a lot about different characters along the way and find out about their reasoning for wanting to win the festival. It's interesting because the build up to each fight felt very meaningful as we get to see good insights on both sides of the fight and seeing the trials and tribulations each character has to go through. On top of that, there's a romance story as well between the two main characters that actually goes somewhere. And it's nice to see their relationship build up from there, even though it may be subtle. Iki Kurigane is the main protagonist of this anime. His personality is rather generic of a normal hero. He's got a caring personality and oblivious about the girls around him. What I found interesting about his character is his past, on how he wasn't allowed to learn anything from the professionals because of the way he was born, so everyone neglected him. And we see the hard struggles for him to reach the top after being dubbed the worst one. And I like how he changes the other characters around him. He gets people to respect him, and in return he teaches them how to be stronger themselves, because since he had to learn himself, he has become a very knowledgeable person while also putting it into practice. Obviously the biggest character development from him comes in with Stella. Stella Vermilion is an A-ranked knight of the academy. She is considered the strongest knight because of her abilities. At first she does come across as another tsundere, however after some time she's actually shown to be someone who's trying to earn respect the right way through hard work rather than a title. And her interactions with Iki help her character develop into a strong character by the end, as she's able to trust herself more and Iki as they go out to understand each other more. Shizuku Kurigane is another character that gets quite a time in the show. She is Iki's sister with a brother complex. She was the only one to understand Iki's situation growing up. She hated the family for mistreating him and therefore does everything she can for Iki, and I mean everything. Her character shows quite a bit of development as she pretty much stays and she learns what it means to be a loving sister for Iki, because her naivety at first puts everyone off. What Rakudai does very well is give us a lot of different characters and actually give them rather interesting backstories. And it's not like all the other characters are the same. Some characters are completely arrogant, some actually are fighting for a family, some people are fighting for pride. It's with all these characters, each story arc gets interesting. We see the initial build up to the fight and the resolve. I especially did like the Iki's build up to his last fight as we learn more about his character and what he has gone through. The interactions he has with each character felt very meaningful. However, what kind of bugged me was, after the character of each arc was done, we don't see that much outside of them. So that may have left some people annoyed. The art and the animation is probably the best thing about Rakudai. The world and character design itself is rather standard compared to most anime, and that's a good thing because it looks good and smooth. Being an ecchi genre as well, you're going to get fan service, and I would say at least they separate the fan service from the action scenes. But it seems some scenes that were trying to make emotional, and they had the fan service, it was kind of distracting. Also, when they do fan service, it's pretty revealing, but not nudity. Now the best part of this anime is the animation for the fight scenes. These were probably one of the most gorgeous action scenes I've seen in 2015. Yes, I think it's up there with Unlimited Blade Works. The special effects for each fight is gorgeous. You really see the fluidity of each element. My favorite use to the art is when Iki is using his abilities, which changes the art style completely into a monochrome world, and the stronger it is, the more awesome it looks. Also, I like how every fight scene quality never really drops. It just gets better as the series progresses. And it's not simply just sword fights, as there are many other ways to fight as well. So there is quite a variety and the animation quality never really drops. Probably one of my favorite fights of the year was Shizuku vs Toka. The strategy behind that fight and execution by one of the character made it really enjoyable. Oh yeah, and the last 2 episodes when they used the monochrome art style, it worked so well at building the hype surrounding the final fight, while really adding to the atmosphere of the story. The music in the anime, I'll get to what I love the most soon, so let's start with the OST. Nothing really stands out too much to make it a great OST. Maybe only the second last episode, when Iki was going through a hard time, was when the music really added to the atmosphere. But that was probably helped because of the art style. The ending song is okay, it's nothing great in my opinion, it's a slow paced song with a gothic feel to it. I said I was going to get to my favorite part of the music, which is the opening of hype and epicness. I don't even care about some of the bad grammar in the lyrics, but the instrumental, the rock with blues-like feel, really is amazing to listen to. Pair that up with the awesome black and white art style opening, and you have yourself such a hype opening with the amazing animation at that. At first, Rakudai showed nothing really new to the genre, but it did have a certain appeal that I was very entertained by. The comedy of the show really separated from the others, as from the first episode, it showed us that it was really aware of itself, so it used its comedy to its advantage by having perfect timing with them. The second episode became more generic, but after that, it becomes really fun from there on. Watching the relationship between Iki and Stella over the course of the anime is quite amusing. Although it's not a deep, complete relationship, but it's still pretty good. The best thing about watching this show is the action scenes. Each fight is unique and brings out a lot of each character. It's gorgeous to watch, and the strategies from each of the characters make it very entertaining. And every time Iki uses Ito Shura, I was very hyped! Because you know there's some ass kicking to be there. Also, that last fight, that was a lot of hype. So for the story of Rakudai, I give it a 7. The concept is really not all that special and the setup is rather basic. But I do like the story of aiming to the top when you're at the bottom and gaining that respect Iki deserves. Although the overall story is nothing to write home about, the arcs that make up the whole show individually is really remarkable to watch, and they get better as the plot progresses. For the animation and sound, I give it a 10 out of 7. The animation is amazing to watch. The fights and the special effects for each magic being used looks really good. Each fight is unique and animation never really drops during the duration of the show. And I love the art style when Iki goes into Ito Shura. The black and white art style just gives it more hype. The OST is nothing special at all, if anything almost forgettable, except for some tracks towards the end. However, the opening is amazing. It was my favorite opening of 2015, animation and song wise. For the characters, I give it an 8. I love the development interactions between Iki and Stella. It's a relationship that goes somewhere and they build on it, rather than sticking to the generic harem route. The other characters during their arcs are quite interesting and well developed as well. However, I just wish we saw more of them after their respective arcs have finished. For my own personal enjoyment, I give it a 9. I loved watching this show, the comedy is fun, and the character interactions were great. I couldn't wait for every fight scene because they all looked amazing to watch. Some fanservice may throw you off your mood, but it's really not that bad. And even though I loved the last fight and the hype that was built towards it, I still just expected slightly more. So for the overall score of Rakudai Kishi no Cavalry, I give it 8 out of 10 after rounding it all up. It may not have the most unique concept, but the smart use of the comedy and romance story that goes along with it makes it entertaining watch, and the actions are great. I recommend this anime to fans of action and the romance genre, or if you want a decent magical knight style anime, this is a pretty good choice. If you want to watch Rakudai Kishi no Cavalry, it is available on Hulu, I believe. However, if you're Australian like me, you can go watch it on Anime Lab, which is where I watched it. Well, that's it for this edition of Anime Review. If you want to read the written review, link is down below, and this review straight to my anime list. And if you enjoyed the video, please give it a thumbs up. If you don't, give it a thumbs down. Comment below. Go watch another. That on sir, it's a sure! Sayonara.